What's up, guys? It's your girl Tymika with a Y, coming to you with another hot podcast episode with the newest and best and finest podcast, the Tymika with a Y podcast show. Now listen, if you are not following me on all social media platforms, baby, what is you doing? I'm gonna need you to go hit that like, that follow, that subscribe button, because we're doing big things over here and I want you to be a part of it. So make sure you go and do that right now. And then after you do that, you come on back. Now listen, whatever day you're listening to this on, whether it's Monday through Sunday, honey, maybe it's Sunday in between, I want to welcome you to the Tymika with a Y podcast show. Now, I'm going to deviate from my normal episodic themes, and I want to dive into something that has been a little controversial over the last week. And this is the comments from Judge Eboni K. Williams in her discussing about Black women's market value and all of that. Now, listen, before we go into this, we want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, Iyanu Organics. Make sure you go and follow them on all social media platforms. And also, we're getting ready to launch Theater in Black. It's going to come here in Memphis, Tennessee in December, and hopefully to a city near you. So go to Theater, that's TheaTrenen Black, BLAQUE.com, or honey, just make it simple and go to my website, IamTymika.com, and it'll take you directly to everything that has to do with Theater in Black that is launching this upcoming Christmas season in December the 9th, actually, and learn a little bit more about what it is that we're going to be doing. Now, back to Miss Eboni K. Williams. Comments about Black women's market value. Now, honey, let me tell you something. The people have been up in arms about this, talking about, she's talking about Black women value. Our market value is decreasing, and we aren't good enough, and we aren't doing this, and we're doing everything. And I disagree wholeheartedly. I know I'm probably going to get some flack from this, but here's the thing, and this is not going to be a long podcast episode, so honey, you catch it while you can, get what you need to get, and let the rest go, okay? Now, what I got from what Eboni K. Williams said was something totally different, and this is quite interesting that she that she brought this out last week. This is a conversation that me and my husband actually had maybe about 3 years ago. And we were talking, this was when we were still in our, we were exclusively dating. But we were talking about this, about how white women are taught, right? Coming out of high school, they are taught to go to college for two reasons: to find a mate and to get a degree. That is it. Have fun while you're there. Join a sorority, join other, extracurricular activities, whatever it is. But your main two focuses are to find your husband, find your mate, and to graduate from college, get your degree. Now, in Black households, we are taught, number one, before we even enter into college, don't you be going there being fast. You ain't got time to be worrying about no boys. You don't need a man. Now, I'm not generalizing all households, but a lot of our households do promote these goals, right? So our goal is to go to college, get our degree, graduate, go back to college, get our master's degree or whatever. But the end goal is to find a job making a lot of money, right? The goal has never been to find your mate, because we're always told you don't need to focus on a man, you don't need to focus on dating, you need to focus on your books, right? Okay, let's put it on paper and be completely honest here. And in many instances, we are groomed, or we are raised in households that may not necessarily have a father figure, or we are in a single parent household, or if we are in a 2-parent household, a lot of times our fathers are working, 12-hour jobs, 5 to 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. They have to work overtime, so they aren't as present in our household as needed. Right? No fault of their own, right? Because they do have to take care of their families, but in many instances, they are not as present. So we find ourselves growing up in these homes, whether the father is in a home and he may not necessarily be 100% present, or we grow up in single parent households where the majority of those are ran by women as the head and the leaders of our homes, right? Which is a beautiful thing. That is nothing bad. I don't want anyone to misconstrue what I am saying. What I am saying is that we are taught as Black women to go to college to get a degree versus our counterparts that are taught to go to college to find a mate and graduate and get their degree. So what happens is and my husband and I, we were talking about this. And I was explaining because one of the questions that he asked me was, what is that disconnect between Black women and Black men, right? And I was explaining to him that when we go to high school, there's a very large pool of, Black young men that are growing and maturing into becoming men. When we go to college, that pool, it shrinks, right? So we go to college, we go and get our degree. We may have a boyfriend, but we're never necessarily there to specifically focus on finding a mate, right? So when we graduate from college, that pool has already shrunk, right? So let's say we decide, okay, I'm going to go and get my master's degree, right? So that already shrunken pool from your college days, now that you are transitioning to get your master's degree, that pool has shrunken even more, right? So let's go back. High school, large pool. College, not so large pool. It's still, a nice group, but it's not necessarily a large pick, right? So we don't find our mates or someone that we could potentially, marry in college. So we go to get our master's degree, that pool has shrunken, right? So not only has that pool shrunken, but the choices of potential mates really isn't there, right? So what happens is that now you have a successful Black woman that has her master's degree, that, 6-figure job, whatever. And the majority of the time she's probably gonna be single, right? And so now you look at this new pool of men that she has to choose from. It has literally dwindled down to a very small percentage. Now, we go into the conversation that Eboni K. Williams had, I believe it was early part of the year, when she was saying, you don't need to go and get a bus driver, right? Because you are on this particular pedestal, you're making this XYZ amount of money, 6 figures, 7 figures, or whatever. Why should you have to go and diminish your accomplishments to find a mate that is making $50,000-$60,000 if you're making $150,000, $200,000 and up, right? Now, let's take a pause and go to the conversation that Tyler Perry just recently had about 2 weeks ago, and how he was telling Black women that they should lower their standards, right? Because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to find what they're looking for, because the pool of men in their current state, financial status, is so little that 9 times out of 10, they will not find what they're looking for. Okay? I hope you playing catch up. Now, then she went on to say about Black women's market value, and she was specifically talking about fertility issues. The older we get, the less likely we are to have to be able to naturally birth children, right? So let's go back 25 years old, let's say 22 years old, you graduate from college, you get your bachelor's degree. From 23 to 25, you go to college, get your master's degree. Now let's just say you decide, I'm gonna go and get my PhD, right? So from 25, 27, let's say 30, 35, depending on what your college looks like, regardless if you choose to, take the long scenic route or whatever. Let's just say 30, right? So by the time you get to 30, between 30 and 35, you have your PhD. Now, looking at the pool of people that go to school with you, the pool of people that go to the places that you go to, because 9 times out of 10, if you have a master's degree, you're probably not going to hang out, at the club too often. The locations and the places that you go are probably more upscale, a little bit more exclusive. So the pool of men that you're looking for are going to be extremely small, right? And so with that being said, because now you have statistically, you have more successful Black women right, that are in your 6-figure, 7-figure, financial statuses, and black men are not there as much. They're not in those spaces, not many of them. Like I said, remember that's that little small little, pool of men. So now you have more women in those spaces, more black women in those spaces, less black men in those spaces. The majority of the time, black women want to date, marry, and have babies by black men, right? And then let's take into consideration the ones that are married, black men that are married. Let's take into consideration the black men who are gay, right? And then let's finally take into consideration the black men that are incarcerated. You have a very small pool to choose from. And when I say small, I mean tiny. So what Eboni K. Williams was saying is that versus us going to college with the mindset of, I don't need a man, I only need my degree, we should say, I'm going to college to get my degree, and potentially, again, if you want to. Now, this is not something that is set in stone. This is not a part of the 10 Commandments. These are her suggestions. So this is only for the women that think that this is the route that they want to go in. Now, you may be a woman like, girl, I ain't thinking about no man. I ain't trying to get married. I don't want no babies. You do you, boo, right? But for those that do have a mindset to say, you know what, one of these days I do want to be married. One of these days I do want to have children. I want to have a family. She is encouraging those women to say, look at, when you're going to college, look at the pool of men there, right? And start grooming or start making those connections, because there's a very high possibility that you could potentially find your mate right there in college versus waiting. Because again, remember, the longer it takes you to find your mate, especially when you are successful, the harder it will be for you to find your mate. So now you run into the potential thing where you have to date outside of your race. Not saying that's the wrong thing. I think that's the beautiful thing. Love who you're gonna love, right? Or you risk living a life by yourself. Eboni K. Williams pretty much said, she's at a place now because she has not been able to find her mate, that she's getting ready to go into her IVF journey. I believe that's what it is, where you do the artificial insemination to get pregnant, and she's gonna have to do it by herself, right? She's in her 40s, right? I think she just turned 40. So again, remember that market value. Not saying that black women lose their market value, but when it comes down to fertility, let's be honest, we have a certain amount of time to have babies, and after that the womb says bye bye, boo. Okay, so she's saying that I didn't plan to find a mate in college. Now I'm at this, making high 6 figures. The pool of men that are in that same, black men that are in that same financial bracket, is extremely low. Because let's also be honest here, a lot of times, and this is not a high percentage, but there are moments where black men do become extremely successful. They're making the 6-7 figures, right? And they don't choose us. They choose to go with, whether it's with, a white lady, a Hispanic lady, Asian lady. We are not their top choice in those instances. So if we're being completely honest here, I think the question that she's posing is should we be so focused on college degrees, success, that we fail to also incorporate our future in regards to our future mate, our future in having children naturally, or whatever, even having a companion. And so that was one of the things that me and my husband was talking about. And I told him, I said, at some point in, our lives, we just get to a place where, we're in our 40s, like I'm 44, right? So I know right now, baby, I ain't having no babies, right? At all. I got my 3 kids and I'm good, right? But At some point when you realize, okay, my wound is about to say bye, boo, right? When you realize, oh, it's not that many people here, now it just becomes a part. You go into this space of, I just don't want to be alone, right? I just want to have a companion. I just want someone that I can travel with. Because, honey, when you're in your 20s, you're traveling with your girlfriends, right? By the time you get to 30, you're traveling with, the people that you have fostered relationships with, whether that's in business, whether that's in your entrepreneurial journey, whatever that looks like. And then when you get 40, like, I don't really feel like traveling with my girlfriends anymore. I actually want to travel with my boo. I want to travel with someone who I can see my life with. I want to spend my life with. And in a lot of instances, that is no longer available to us as Black women or women that are in this pinnacle of success, right? And so in my opinion, what I believe that Eboni K. Williams is saying is that let's not focus solely on just getting our degree. Let's go into these college arenas, for our children, those of us that have girls, those of us that have nieces that are just, that are in high school, they're getting ready to go to college. It's allowing them to understand that college is a beautiful time. It is a time for you to have the best time of your life, enjoy, have fun, pledge sororities, pledge a sorority, go and do extracurricular activities, whatever that looks like for them. But it is also the perfect time to start being open to who you will choose as your mate, the type of person that you want, whether you want a Black man, white man, green, somewhere in between. Maybe you want a woman, maybe you want both, honey. That ain't even none of my business. But whatever it is, you want to go into college with the mindset of, yes, I'm going to get my degree, but I'm also setting up my future for my mate so that I can secure my family, right? Because a lot of women now are in a space where it's like, honey, I'd rather have a piece of man than no man. So we're sharing men. We're polyamorous. We are in open relationships and all these. We've had to, not when I say this, I'm not generalizing. This is for those specifically that I'm talking to and about. Now, honey, you may want to have a polyamorous relationship. You may thrive in that. And I think that's the beautiful thing. You choose what you want to do. But for those of us that have chosen to say, I want to be in a monogamous relationship with a man, specifically a Black man, a lot of times we have to dampen, our criteria or what it is that we want just to say we have someone. So we're sharing, he got a girlfriend over here, he got a girlfriend over there, and then he come to me on Thursdays, whatever that looks like. But I think that I think she posed a really great question. And I think she posed a really great advice for women that are going into these spaces. It is extremely important that we go into college already with the mindset to secure our future. Because again, remember, successful Black women are on the rise, right? We are the number one community that's opening up business, the number one community that's walking away with degrees, the number one community that's rising in economics. We are all that. But in saying all of that, do we want to do it alone? Do we want to be successful alone? Do we want to walk into our homes alone? Do we want to lay in our beds alone? Now, again, remember, I am not generalizing everyone. If you choose to say, girl, I love being by myself, I love being in my house, baby, do you, honey? Do you? But for those of us that do want to live a full life with another human being by our side, it's extremely important that we prep early for it, right? Now, for those that are already in our 40s, you single and you're looking, and you single and you mingling, right? And you're looking, it's important that I think, my sister, she's sidebar. I have a sister, honey. She is a nurse practitioner, successful, no kids. She's looking for her mate. And she told me, her and I were talking, and we have, I have very honest and transparent conversations with my sisters. Me and my baby sister are married. My middle sister, she was married, relationship didn't work out, and so now she is back on the market, I hate people say I'm back on the market. That sounds like a piece of meat. She is back in the dating pool. And she was honest. My sister is 30. I want to say she's 37, I believe. Beautiful. And she said, I'm at a place where I feel like I may have to, start dating other races. And again, like I said, that's not a bad thing for those people that choose to do that. But for those that have always had the idea of, I'm black, I want to marry black, I want to have black kids, that can become a challenge for them, because they're realizing that I can't find what I'm looking for in black men, or again, remember that small pool. And I can't speak for black men because I'm not a black man. I can only speak for black women. So men, don't come for me too hard, okay? Because I know y'all are out there doing y'all thing, and I'm almost certain you guys are dealing with the exact same thing. But I think what we fail to realize is that as we rise in statuses, we don't have access to that. We have access to that pool if we want to, but many times, if I'm making $100, $200, $300, $400, $500,000, I'm not necessarily looking for someone that's making $50,000. I'm not necessarily looking for a mate that's making $45,000 or $60,000 or $70,000. I'm looking for someone who can match, or if not completely match identically, but at least we're close in the same range, And so a lot of times women, black women that are in those economic statuses, they can't find what they're looking for. So now they're questioning themselves. Am I too successful? Right? Have I missed the boat? Am I going to be successful and single? Am I going to be lonely? Am I going to be by myself? Will I ever have children naturally? Will I ever be able to find what it is that I'm looking for in my own race? Will I ever be able to, or maybe do I have to, date other races? Do I need to reconfigure my ideas for my future? Maybe I won't be able to have, that white picket fence, 2-story house with the columns in the front. Maybe I am subjected to a penthouse, or maybe I'm subjected, to a smaller home, or maybe I'm subjected to a large house where I'm there by myself. And so I think that what Eboni K. Williams did was open up a very hard-hitting but honest conversation that we as black women with black daughters have to have, because we do want our black daughters to have good mates. We do want them to, go to college, get a degree, become successful, but not have to do it alone. So if we are being honest with ourselves and we're really truly having an honest dialogue, I think if we step out of our emotions and truly see the full picture, Eboni K. Williams was 100% right. Now, maybe her delivery, as some people say, her delivery sucked. So maybe her delivery was a little abrasive, right? A little aggressive. But if you step away from how it was said and really focus on what was said, let's be honest, she was 100% right. And that means that we have work to do. We have to prep our next generation of black successful women with the mindset of, yes, you do need a man. And not necessarily need a man because you're too weak or you're incapable of doing anything, but you want to have, and let me rephrase that. You want a mate. You may not need him, but you want a mate. You want someone that can hold your hand, walk this journey of life with you. You want someone that can, be your cheerleader in whatever capacity that looks like. You may not want a man. You may want a woman. You may want a triple. You may want a polyamorous relationship. You may want whatever that looks like for you in your life. It's important that we, start prepping our next generation for success, and not success lonely, but success with a successful mate or someone that can make you better. I tell my husband all the time, you make me better, and we want to be in partnerships with people that simply just make us better. Because honey, if we're going to do this thing called life, we might as well do it well. This is your girl, Tymika with the Y, coming to you with the newest and hottest podcast, the Tymika with a Y podcast show. Now listen, again, if you're not following me on all social media platforms, make sure you go like, follow, comment, subscribe, and love, baby, because I am in the business of bringing truth to your door and bringing love to your life. Again, don't forget to go and follow me on all social media platforms, and also giving another huge shout out to our sponsors, Beyond New Organics, 100% vegan and organic hair care, hair wellness. Make sure you're following them on all social media platforms, and don't forget to share this with someone. And if you disagree, listen, comment section is wide open. Feel free to add your comments. I would love to build this dialogue a little bit more in regards to Black women's market value, whether it's increasing, decreasing, or maybe it's just stagnant. But I think this is a great conversation to get started. I cannot wait to hear your comments. I cannot wait to see your feedback. I love you. And as always, smooches and deuces, baby. Have a great day. Have a purposeful day, and have a masterful day. Bye-bye.